I was fixing a leaky faucet in apartment 4B when my sister Emma's new husband, James Harrison Ayule, made his brand inspection of his latest acquisition. The sound of his Italian leather shoes echoing down the hallway was unmistakable, just like his condescending voice as he boasted to his entourage about his real estate empire. If only he knew. And this building, he announced loudly, is the crown jewel. 40 stories of pure luxury. The maintenance staff will need a complete overhaul, of course. Can't have riffraff living on-site anymore. I kept working on the faucet, hiding my smile. James had bought the building through a shell company I created specifically for this purpose. He thought he was negotiating with a faceless corporation. In reality, he'd been dealing with me, layered behind lawyers and proxies. My phone buzzed, a message from my real estate director. He signed the final papers. Transfer complete. You now officially own his entire portfolio. Perfect timing. Oh, look who it is. James's voice dripped with disdain as he stepped into 4B. The resident handyman himself. My dear brother-in-law. I turned slowly, wiping my hands on my work uniform. James, inspecting your new property? Indeed, he straightened his Brioni tie. Though I must inform you that your living arrangements will need to change. This is a luxury building now. We can't have maintenance staff living on-site. It lowers the tone. Behind him, Emma shifted uncomfortably. She had changed since marrying James 6 months ago, trading her teacher's salary for a life of luxury. She'd forgotten who paid for her college when our parents died, who supported her dreams before James came along. Is that so? I kept my voice neutral. And where would you suggest I live? There are plenty of appropriate accommodations in the less desirable parts of town. He smirked. Though you might need to find a better paying job. I'm replacing all current maintenance staff with a professional service. James, Emma interjected. Alex has lived here for 5 years. He knows the building, the tenants. Darling, he cut her off. This is business. We're upgrading the property. No more charity cases. I stood up, my full height making James step back slightly. Charity cases? Well, let's be honest, he laughed, addressing his entourage of yes-men. Living in a luxury building on a handyman's salary, someone was clearly doing you a favor. But that ends now. I've built my empire on excellence. His empire consisted of exactly 47 properties, all of which I now own through various shell companies. James had been so eager to expand, so convinced of his brilliance, that he never looked too closely at who he was really dealing with. You know what they say about empires, James? I said quietly. They're only as strong as their foundation. He frowned. Is that a threat? Because I should remind you that I now own this building. And as of next month, you're out. My phone buzzed again. Another message. All property transfers complete. Records updated. Ready when you are. I smiled. Actually, James, we need to discuss ownership. There's nothing to discuss. He pulled out his phone. Should I call security to escort you out now? Before you do that, I said, reaching into my tool belt and pulling out an envelope, you might want to read this. He snatched it, tearing it open with manicured fingers. His face paled as he read. This is impossible. What is it? Emma asked, trying to read over his shoulder. A complete record of property ownership, I said calmly, for all 47 buildings in your empire, including this one. James's hands were shaking. These are forgeries. I bought these properties. No, James, you negotiated to buy them through companies like Skyline Holdings, Summit Properties, and Peak Investments. I smiled. All of which are subsidiaries of Pierce Real Estate Group. Pierce Real Estate. Emma's eyes widened. But that's my company, I finished. Founded 12 years ago when I inherited Mom and Dad's real estate portfolio. The same company that now owns every property you thought you were buying. The yes men started backing away, sensing the shift in power. James's face turned from pale to crimson. You can't do this. I signed contracts. Yes, you did. With my companies. And according to those contracts, which your lawyers clearly didn't read carefully enough, all properties revert to the parent company, Pierce Real Estate, in the event of any attempted resale or refinancing. But I haven't tried to resell. I pulled out my phone and showed him his own emails. Actually, you have. You've been negotiating to flip these properties to foreign investors at a markup. That triggered the reversion clause. As of an hour ago, all 47 properties are officially back under direct Pierce real estate ownership. Emma stepped forward. Alex, you own all these buildings, but you're a maintenance man. No, sis. I work maintenance because I believe in knowing my properties from the ground up. Every pipe, every wire, every tenant. I turned to James. Something a real property owner should understand. This is a trick, he sputtered. I'll sue. Feel free, though you might want to check your company accounts first. The funds from the sales have already been returned. Minus legitimate administrative fees, of course. His phone was already out, fingers trembling. The color drained from his face again. You've ruined me. No, James, you ruined yourself. With your arrogance, your disrespect, your belief that money equals worth. I pulled out another envelope. This is your official eviction notice. Not from the apartment, from the building's offices on the top floor. I believe you've been using my penthouse as your headquarters. Emma grabbed the notice, reading it through tears. Alex, please, we just bought a new house. We have plans. You mean the house on Maple Drive? I asked quietly. The one you put a deposit on last week? Her eyes widened. How did you? I own that too. Through another subsidiary. Don't worry, you can keep living there. The rent will be fair market value, of course. No charity cases, right, James? James had sunk into a chair, his empire crumbling around him. Why, he whispered. Why go through all this? Because 6 months ago, you married my sister and immediately convinced her to cut ties with me, her only family, called me beneath her new status. I stepped closer. Then you started buying properties through my companies, bragging about your success, while treating maintenance staff, my staff, like dirt. So this was all revenge? No, this was a lesson. About respect. About family. About knowing what really matters. I handed Emma a card. My real office address. When you're ready to be my sister again, come see me. As I packed my tools, James found his voice one last time. You won't get away with this. I turned at the door. I already have. Check the property records. They've all been updated. Oh, and James, you have 30 days to vacate the offices. I'll be moving my real headquarters there. Walking down the hall, I heard Emma begin to cry and James start shouting at his lawyers. My real phone buzzed one last time. Penthouse ready for your inspection, Mr. Pierce. I smiled, heading for the service elevator I used for 5 years. Time to see my empire from the top floor. Sometimes the best revenge isn't in the taking. It's in the revealing. In showing them who really held the keys all along. The elevator doors closed on James's world of illusion and opened onto my reality. 47 properties. One truth? And a maintenance man who owned it all. Time to fix more than just leaky faucets. Starting with my sister's broken dreams. The next morning, I sat in my newly reclaimed penthouse office, watching the sun rise over my real estate empire. The maintenance uniform was gone, replaced by a bespoke suit I usually kept hidden. The tool belt was still there, though some habits die hard. My phone rang. Emma. Alex? Her voice was small, nothing like the confident socialite she become since marrying James. Can we talk? The office is open, I replied, ending the call. 20 minutes later, she walked in, still wearing yesterday's designer outfit. Her eyes took in the penthouse, the view, the understated luxury, the wall of screens showing real-time data from all 47 properties. How long? She asked, sinking into a visitor's chair. How long have you been? A billionaire. I finished. Since Mom and Dad died. Their small real estate business was worth more than anyone knew. I just expanded it. While pretending to be a maintenance man. Not pretending. I am a maintenance man. And a plumber, electrician, and general contractor. I gestured to my licenses framed on the wall. I believe in knowing my buildings inside and out. But why hide it? Why let James treat me like dirt? I pulled out a file. Because character shows itself when people think they have power. You taught me that, Emma. She flinched. What do you mean? Remember Tommy Martinez? Your high school boyfriend. What does he have to do with this? You broke up with him when you got into Yale. Said he wasn't ambitious enough because he wanted to be a firefighter. I opened the file. He's now the fire chief, by the way, and owns 3 of my buildings through a first responders housing initiative I started. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I was young. You were honest about what you valued. I leaned forward. Then James came along with his fancy cars and big plans. Suddenly, your teacher's salary wasn't enough. Your modest apartment was embarrassing. Your maintenance man brother was a liability. Alex, I'm sorry. Are you? Or are you just sorry James lost everything? She stood up, anger flashing. That's not fair. You destroyed him. No, his own greed destroyed him. I smiled. Maintained the property values. My phone buzzed. A message from building security. James was in the lobby, demanding entry. Your husband's here, I said, pressing a button. Let's continue this family reunion. James burst in moments later, looking considerably less polished than yesterday. You, he pointed at me. You snake. Do you know what you've done? Protected my investments, maintained property values, ensured quality service for my tenants. My investors are pulling out. My partners are calling in loans. You mean my investors? I pulled up some documents on the wall screens, the ones you've been misleading about property ownership and projected returns. He paled. Those presentations were confidential. Nothing in my buildings is confidential from me, including the deals you were making in my offices on my secure network. Emma stepped between us. Stop it, both of you. There must be a way to fix this. Actually, I said, there is. I pressed another button, and a contract appeared on the screens. James can stay on as property manager. Salary commensurate with experience, full benefits, standard performance metrics. Ad manager, he sputtered. I own these properties. No, you tried to buy them. Now you can earn them. I stood up. Start from the ground up. Learn the buildings, the systems, the people. In 5 years, if you prove yourself, we can discuss a partnership. This is ridiculous. I won't be your employee. Then you'll be unemployed. I shrugged. Your choice. Emma grabbed the contract, reading quickly. This is actually a good offer, James. Better than we deserve. We deserve nothing from him, James shouted. He tricked us. No, she said quietly. We tricked ourselves, thinking money meant more than family, that status meant more than substance. I watched my sister carefully. Maybe there was hope for her yet. The offer stands until noon, I said. After that, I'll find another manager, maybe someone who starts in maintenance and works their way up. James grabbed the contract, his hands shaking. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Actually, I am, because for the first time, you're seeing me, not the maintenance man you dismissed, but the owner you need to impress. He scribbled his signature, practically throwing the contract at me. Welcome to Pierce Real Estate, I smiled. Report to building services tomorrow. 6 a.m. sharp. We'll get you fitted for a uniform. A uniform, he choked. Can't have our managers looking like riffraff, I said, quoting his own words back to him. Emma, stay a moment. After James stormed out, Emma turned to me. You're not really going to make him wear a uniform. Of course I am, the same one I wear when I'm working in the buildings. I softened my tone. The same one Dad wore when he started. She touched Dad's old photo on my desk. I forgot about that, how he insisted on doing repairs himself, even after buying more properties. Because he knew what you and James forgot. Real value isn't in owning things. It's in understanding them, building them, maintaining them. Like relationships? She asked softly. Exactly like relationships. She hugged me suddenly, like she used to before James. I'm sorry, little brother. For everything. Prove it, I said, hugging her back. Be my sister again. Not James's wife or society's darling. Just Emma. Even if I live in a maintenance man's building. Especially then. I smiled. Though you might want to learn how to fix a faucet. You never know when it'll come in handy. As she left, I looked out over my city. Sometimes the best foundations aren't built with concrete and steel. They're built with truth, humility, and second chances. Time to see if James and Emma could learn that lesson. One property at a time. 3 months into James's rehabilitation program. As my property managers called it, the changes were becoming evident. The designer suits were replaced by practical workwear. His manicured hands now showed signs of actual labor, and most surprisingly, he was learning. I watched through the security feed as he helped Mrs. Chen from 12B with her groceries, something the old James would have considered beneath him. My phone buzzed with a daily report from his supervisor. Harrison completed basic plumbing certification. Handled 3 emergency calls solo. Tenant feedback positive. Emma had changed too. She'd resumed teaching, moving from their expensive penthouse to a modest 2-bedroom in one of my buildings. Not because she had to, but because she chose to. Mr. Pierce, my assistant interrupted my thoughts. James Harrison is requesting a meeting. Send him up. He entered my office still wearing his maintenance uniform, a far cry from the arrogant man who had threatened to evict me 3 months ago. Alexei nodded, remaining standing until I gestured to a chair. I need to discuss something. Your performance reviews are improving, I noted, pulling up his file. Tenants actually asked for you by name last week. It's not about that. He shifted uncomfortably. It's about Building C's renovation budget. Now this was interesting. Building C was one of the properties he tried to buy, a historic structure in need of major updates. What about it? Your approved plan. It's wrong. He pulled out a tablet, fingers now rough from work. The contractors you hired are cutting corners. I've been checking their work during my rounds. I leaned back, hiding my satisfaction. Explain. For the next 20 minutes, James detailed specific issues he'd found. Substandard materials, rushed workmanship, potential code violations. All of which I already knew about because I'd orchestrated them as a test. So what do you suggest? I asked when he finished. Fire them. All of them. His voice was firm. I know some smaller contractors from my before. Good workers who take pride in their work. They'll cost more, but quality matters more than quick profits, I finished. Especially in a historic building. He looked surprised. Yes, exactly. I pressed a button and Building C's real renovation plans appeared on the screens. The ones using the quality contractors James had just suggested. These were the actual plans all along, I explained. The current contractors were temporary, part of your training evaluation. A test? His face reddened. You deliberately used bad contractors to test me. To test if you'd learned the difference between looking good on paper and being good in reality. I stood up. You passed. He absorbed this, fingers tracing a callus on his palm. 3 months ago, I wouldn't have even noticed the problems. Wouldn't have cared. 3 months ago, you thought being a property owner meant collecting rent and making appearances. I walked to the window. Now you understand it means being responsible for people's homes, their safety, their trust. Emma says you learned this from your father. Everything I know about real estate, property management, and people, I learned from him. He started as a maintenance man too. James was quiet for a moment. I've been unfair to you, to Emma, to everyone. Yes, you have. I turned back to him. What you're learning. That's why I offered you the job instead of just taking everything. About that, he straightened. I want to decline the partnership offer. This was unexpected. Go on. 5 years to earn a partnership? I don't deserve it. Not yet. He stood up. I want to learn this business properly, from the ground up like you did. Like your father did. For the first time, I saw something genuine in James. Humility, understanding, growth. Interesting proposal, I said. And what would you suggest instead? Keep me in maintenance and operations. Let me earn certifications, learn the buildings, understand the tenants. Maybe in 10 years, if I prove myself. I smiled. Now you're thinking like a real property owner. My phone buzzed. Emma was in the lobby. Send her up, I told my assistant. When Emma entered, she took in the scene. James in his uniform, the renovation plans on the screens, the subtle shift in power dynamics. Everything okay? She asked. Your husband just declined a fast-track to partnership, I told her, in favor of a longer apprenticeship in maintenance and operations. Her eyes widened. James? I need to learn, Emma, he said quietly. Really learn. Not just pretend to know things. She hugged him, not caring about the dirt on his uniform. Now that's the man I married. No, he corrected her. It's the man I'm becoming. I watched them, remembering Mom and Dad, how they built their empire on similar principles. Hard work, honest service, real knowledge. Well then, I said, let's make it official. I pulled up a new contract. Standard maintenance track, full certification program, rotating assignments through all properties. Regular performance reviews, no special treatment. James signed without hesitation. Welcome to the family business, I said. For real this time. As they left together, I added a note to James's file, ready for phase 2. Sometimes the best investment isn't in properties. It's in people, in their capacity to learn, to grow, to change. Dad taught me that along with fixing faucets and respecting tenants. Now it was my turn to pass on those lessons. One building, one person, one change at a time. The sun set over my city, casting long shadows across properties I'd built, bought, and maintained. But the real empire wasn't in the buildings. It was in the truth they taught us. That true worth isn't in what you own. It's in how you maintain it, in every sense of the word. 3 months after James started his new position in building services, I stood in the lobby of property number 23, watching through the security cameras as he struggled with a blocked garbage chute. His once manicured hands were now callous, his designer haircut grown out, replaced by practical functionality. "He's actually doing it," Emma said, standing beside me. She'd taken to visiting the properties regularly, relearning the empire our parents had started. "I didn't think he'd last a week." "People surprise you when they have to rebuild from the foundation up," I replied, watching James finally clear the blockage. His smile of satisfaction was genuine, probably the first real thing I'd seen from him since we met. My phone buzzed, a message from my property manager. "Harrison's first quarterly review ready. You should see this." The report showed something unexpected. James had not only learned the maintenance routines, but had started implementing efficiency improvements. His detailed knowledge of high-end real estate, combined with his new hands-on experience, was actually adding value. "He's different," Emma said softly. "At home he talks about the buildings now. The tenants, he's learning their names, their stories." "Like Dad did," I nodded. "Remember how he knew every resident? Their kids' names, their jobs, their dreams." "I remember thinking it was beneath us," she admitted. "When I started dating James, he said the same thing, that real property moguls don't mix with tenants. And now he comes home proud of fixing things, of helping people." She touched my arm. "You knew this would happen, didn't you? This was never about revenge." I smiled, watching James help an elderly tenant with her groceries, something old James would have considered beneath him. "This was about legacy," I said. "Mom and Dad didn't build this empire with just money. They built it with care, attention, and respect for every brick and every person within these walls. And he wanted us to understand that. I wanted you to remember it. You used to before." "Before I thought designer labels meant more than designer lives," she finished. My phone buzzed again. Another message. "Harrison requesting meeting. Says he has proposals for tenant service improvements." "Well," I showed Emma the message. "Looks like your husband might be ready for the next level." "The partnership you promised?" "Not yet, but maybe a step up, if he's learned the right lessons." As we watched James finish his shift, dirty but satisfied, Emma hugged me. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not giving up on us, for making us see." "That's what family does," I replied. "We maintain what matters." Later that evening, I stood in my penthouse office, looking out over the city. On my desk lay 2 things: James's proposal for tenant service improvements and Dad's old tool belt. Sometimes the greatest achievements aren't in the acquiring. They're in the maintaining, of buildings, of relationships, of legacies. James and Emma were learning that lesson, one repair at a time. And maybe, just maybe, this family could be maintained too. Built stronger, from the ground up. With tools sharper than money, and foundations deeper than pride. Time to build something that would last. Together.